Hey folks, and welcome back here to Gatekeeper Media as we bring you some more Elite Series coverage for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and we're at the Dynamic Disc Open out in Emporia, Kansas. Big shout out to all of you for tuning in, and a special shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who help make all of this coverage possible. Once again, I'm that esports guy bringing you some disc golf commentary, Dustin Mouret. Hope that you're all enjoying yourselves and in for a good time, because we certainly have a fun feature card for you on our first round. We got the lefty duo from Dynamic Disc of Melton and Chris Clemons. We got our champion from Jonesboro and Calvin Heimburg. Then we got Niklas Anttila from Finland, who's been here for a bit now and doing pretty well. If you take a look at our Pro Tour standings, Dickerson still leads the way, but Calvin Heimburg, one of our card mates here, is right on his heels. And let's take a look at Melton here. Putts with judges, likes to use those harps for approaches. Definitely likes his trusty Maverick, which is his Tour Series disc. And also, when he needs the overstable stuff, you'll see him go for those enforcers and so on. Now, Calvin Heimburg, you can put one of those AVRs, known for his Rhino, but mixing into Toro now for approaches as well. Very well known, of course, for his Draco and his Eagle work when it comes to the hybrid drivers. Then, of course, his Destroyers when he needs the big distance and to fight these Kansas winds. And Chris Clemons, another judge putter out there. Also really known for his fuse for mid-ranges. Also likes to throw the getaway quite a lot, as well as the felon. Then, of course, known for his defenders and enforcers as well, but experiment with that ride like a lot of Trilogy players are. We got Niklas Anttila from Discmania. He putts with P1s. That's a bit different. I feel like most Discmania players are usually putting P2s. It's a little bit different. Tactics for approaches, MD3s for his kind of main mid-ranges, but also likes the method a lot. And then, yeah, kind of your typical PDs, PD2s, DD3s, all that good stuff that you expect to see from a Discmania player. As we are going to be at the new Supreme 18 at Jones Park, a complete redesign from Eric McCabe, as opposed to the Gold course that was more of a safari course. And the first hole is a tough par 3, as it is an island green. You can lay up short of the creek if you so choose to play for par, but if you go for this island and miss, you do have to go to a drop zone and can take a 4 real quick. Melton will lead the way here off the tee out of Tennessee. Oh, yes, sir. Just drops it in the island. But, of course, he recently just placed at the top 25 in Tallahassee. Had some solid finishes last year at MVP Open, USCGC, and Jonesboro. And speaking of Jonesboro, we got Calvin Heimburg here, our winner at Jonesboro, and a consistent top 5 finisher on tour. But he's going to get caught up early off there, and we'll have to go to that drop zone. Now we get the Chris Clemons out of Missouri. Placed top 3 others here at Waco, 6th at Belton, top 25 at Texas State. Very solid player. That might be a little juice. And yeah, that's going to skip over the backside of the island. So he is going to have to play from that drop zone. We got Niklas Anttila from Finland, winner of the European Disc Golf Championship last year. Always a top performer in Europe at the Prodigy Disc Pro Tour. So far this year, he has traveled to the States, and he's placed top 15 at Champions Cup and Texas States. Really fun player to watch, very smooth. And that needs the hyzer in and stick, and no, that is deep as well.
Gentlemen, good luck.
And so a lot of drop zone visitors on this opening hole. Calvin gives that a nice little bid, not quite. And I will say this island mulch is pretty grabby. So if you can just land in there, it usually will stick. As Clemons just kind of pitches it up there to save his bogey. Niklas Anttila will do the same. So it looks like Melton will be our only hope at scoring here on this hole. We'll see if he can get it done. Going for that straddle putt. Really fun guy as well. He'll get it done. Just one of the most positive people you could ever have on your card. I was caddying for Cameron Colglazer at Tallahassee, and Melton was on our card. I think it was the second round, and just a super funny dude. Love to have him on this feature card. Obviously, really good friends with Calvin Heimburg, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun times with those two. So Clemons will tap in for bogey, and looks like the rest of the card should be doing the same. plays our third most difficult hole, actually. And we get into hole 2, the 1,087-foot par 5 OB, all on the left-hand side, especially as you approach that road. Also, water right serves as an OB line once you get about midway up the fairway. Basket tucked in towards the road on the left-hand side. And so really just got to battle these Kansas winds, stay in bounds, and just play your shots. What I'll try to set up for birdie here. Zach Melton up first, hanging it over that left side OB, but hyzers it back in. Definitely can get tricky with some of those trees on that right-hand side of the fairway. As again, it's cool seeing this new design, completely redone Jones Park here, as we are going to see Cobb and Heimburg drift over to that right-hand side as well, avoiding the left OB. We'll get into open space. Clemons probably hanging it over the left side OB as well. Covering some good ground that has plenty of fade to get back inbounds. Now Niklas Anttila. And sorry if I am pronouncing that wrong, but I just watched this in the bag, and I think I'm saying it how he said it, but apologies if not. That's a solid shot there from Niklas. Melton first to act here on the second shot. It's heading towards that left side OB. Needs to catch ground and stay. And it does kind of cut roll back in. I mean, it doesn't cover as much ground as he had wanted, but stay safe. Clemons kind of imitating his tee shot, puts himself in good position as long as it doesn't roll in the water. Does happen to get a little bit too much roll there at the end, and we'll find that OB. That's unfortunate. See what Niklas can do here. Oh, and he gets caught up on that tree. We'll stay in bounds, but definitely puts him in a tough position. As I'm kind of learning along with you viewers out there, I have seen some practice rounds of this from a couple different players who have posted content out there, and Eric McCabe did a cool little fly-through, but this is, you know, a brand new competition course, so all of the lines and stuff probably still kind of being experimented with and discovered, and of course this is kind of a preview for Worlds coming up later this year, as this course will be used for that competition as well. Of course, it's the first 2 rounds being played here, and then the Emporia Country Club will be used for rounds 3 and 4. There's a cut as well after round 3. So here's Niklas. Again, did not find the OB. Playing the big hyzer over the trees. Not really in any kind of range for birdie, but should be able to pitch up for par from that position. Kind of has to fight through some trees, but finds that road and does not have the right angle on the disc to fight back in, so that will be an OB. That road does come pretty close to the basket there on that left-hand side, so you have to be careful with that, as Clemons, of course, did find the OB on the opposite side of the fairway, so we're going to try to get up and down and salvage something here. Definitely very well known for his forehand. One of the best forehands on tour, honestly. Certainly really sticks out as a lefty, being able to throw the forehand that well. Often required, honestly, in some of these courses to be able to do that. Niklas playing this wider line. We'll be able to get that into the circle. And here's Melton. That's one of his more beat-up harps. Flies very straight for him on his approaches, and that is going to be pretty perfect. So here goes Calvin after the OB. Throwing that Rhino up there. Now he's been going to the new Toro for forehands, but still really likes that trusty Rhino for his backhand approaches a lot of the time. Clemons just kind of pitching it up there. Here's Niklas putting. See if he can stick it. Just a little low out the hand. That's unfortunate there from Niklas. Could have been the par, but we'll take the 6 instead. This played is our 4th most difficult hole of the day. 7% of the field birdieing it, so not too many scores found on this one. Just 8 players, I believe, in the field doing so. Played .47 strokes over par. Carding the par, though, will be Zach Melton, so 1 under through 2, so a pretty good start here. Calvin also carding the 6. Same as Clemons. Now we head to hole 3. The 654-foot par 4 is a 440-foot water carry to go directly towards the pin off the tee. There is a layup zone off to the left-hand side if you're not going to go for the full-on cross, but makes it very difficult to birdie at that point, as Zach Melton is indeed taking that left side zone. Calvin, of course, certainly looking to take this water carry, you'd imagine, with the destroyer in hand. Certainly has a distance to get the 440 clear. Didn't quite give it as much height as he wanted, but still enough to clear. May make the approach tricky, though, to get up and down for birdie. Clemons also laying up to this left-hand side. Turns it a lot, though. Maybe more than he had wanted, but maybe that's also just a position he wants to be in. Maybe more comfortable for him to approach from there. So we'll see Niklas Anttila up next. There's a driver in hand. Going for the cross. He'll clear it, no problem. But let's get underneath that cedar, and that is tricky. There's a lot of these cedars on this course that have very low branches to the ground, so to speak, and it can make things tricky if you get tangled up there. It's, yeah, just wide hyzer approach now for Clemons. Makes some good progress, but he's going to be pitching up for his par. I'm sure Melton's looking to do something similar here. Should do. Skates up there. Actually makes it inside the circle. So we'll actually have a chance here to get birdie. Yeah, Calvin. Looks a little tricky. Trying to play the forehand in, but catches one of those trees outside the circle and will not make the progress. And yeah, this is what I mean with some of these cedars that are out there. Kind of tough to punch out, you'd have to imagine. Not sure what he's got. Man, just does what he can to get out, but now that really takes birdie pretty much off the board unless he has a long putt here to sink in. And he's well outside circle too. Tries to give it a bit of a run. Pitching up. Let's see what Calvin has here. Lengthy bid for birdie for him, catching that tree. Yeah, certainly well in circle 2. Gives it a stepper, but sails it just like widen over the basket. And so here's Melton. A little high on that putt. This actually was one of the easier holes on the day for the field. Played .21 strokes under par. 48% of players finding the birdie today on this hole, but our card having some struggles. We'll see Calvin sink the par, and I imagine everyone else should be able to collect theirs as well. Everyone's certainly well within range. Clemons just has a drop in, essentially. High again from Melton. It's a tough break on the putting green for Zach after, a pretty solid tee shot, and he got what he wanted, bailing out, and then had a pretty good approach as well. Actually kind of had a birdie look on his initial putt, but now gonna go to bogey. See Niklas here going for par. Sticks it, no problem. Again, Clemons is right there. He'll be able to collect his par, and then again, Melton unfortunately pulled the old birdogey. Oh, Zach knows he kind of got away with one there. Almost pulled the for double, but does a hot pin. And that was probably a little more stressful than he had hoped for, though. We'll be back after the break.
The orbit fell, and this thing has been amazing. The plastic, the flight, everything is just amazing. You can really manipulate the angles on this thing. It's a felon, but it does things that felons really aren't supposed to do, and that's why I love it.
Let's get into hole 4, a par 4 at 668 feet. Pretty open fairway, but certainly some OB to contend with, and a couple of cedars near the basket that you'll have to navigate around on your approach. Particularly, there's kind of this OB that cuts in on the left-hand side, a little past midway up the fairway, as you can kind of see there. And that's kind of your direct line to the basket, so decide how much you want to chance that to give yourself a good line for approach, as Calvin will play out wide right, not wanting to test the waters of OB. Of course, covers plenty of distance. Lefty backhand kind of has to challenge that left OB a little bit more off the tee. That's something overstay, which should be able to swing it back in, no problem. In fact, Calvin plays it quite safe. Still a laser beam out of Niklas Anttila's hands all the way down the center of the fairway. Very unique form, Niklas. The way he kind of holds out with both hands on the disc prior to his approach. It's kind of neat, kind of makes him stick out. Melton will play over the left side OB here, try to push a little bit more distance. Does kind of get near that right hand OB, but it digs nicely, so no problem. Clemons trying to play the forehand in. That'll stick. Lengthy putt, though. Zach will be playing the wider hyzer backhand into the green. Trying to play the flex line. Gets caught up a little bit, and that will actually push him into the cedar there. And yeah, that's always a crapshoot on what you're going to have in front of you to get out of that. Trying to highs over that cedar into the green. Looks great. Really well done there from Niklas.
Thank you.
Calvin electing to go forehand in. So if you're on that left side of the fairway as a right-handed player, that forehand's definitely the cleanest way into the green, and so Calvin lands it in there, no problem. It's really if you're more on that right-hand side to avoid the left OB that you'll have to kind of play the trickier backhand in as right-handed player. But yeah, here's Melton trying to fight his way out. I'll be able to park under the basket for par. Here's Clemons with a pretty lengthy bid for birdie. Trying to jump it in there. Oh, center, but a little low. Here's Calvin Heimburg for birdie. Certainly love to have it here, taking a couple of knocks early in this round. And we'll be able to land the mark, puts him back down to 1 over par. Niklas able to find his birdie as well, evening him up with Calvin Heimburg as our other two card mates here will tap in the pars. And we'll head on over to hole 5, 385-foot par 3. Definitely a tricky little straight shot that you have to hit. You do have the options once you get up to kind of this lightly colored, I don't know exactly what tree it is. I think it's birch tree. You can kind of go left or right of it depending on whether you're backhanding or forehanding, or depending on if you're lefty-righty. Calvin playing the wider right route. Definitely have your options open to you. Imagine Niklas, too, will be playing that right side of the white tree there. Catches a couple of low-hanging branches. Kind of knocks him a little bit to the left and short. Imagine Clemons is looking to take that same route with the forehand as the left-handed player. Oh, that's just high out the hand. At least he doesn't knock way left OB. There is some OB over there. Also OB deep at the basket at the road, but doesn't really come into play too much. As you see Zach taking the left side of that tree with the lefty backhand.
The weirdest pick. Yeah.
And so Clemons in kind of a tricky spot here. Has to play kind of a crazy angled forehand to get into the putting green, but we'll be able to do it. Like Zach was trying to give it somewhat of a bid, but just did not get the right flight on that putt. Calvin trying to hyzer one in around the tree. Not quite landing the mark. We'll have to settle for par. Little stepper there from Niklas, and just a little low. Certainly had the good line to it. And yeah, no one really put themselves in fantastic position for a birdie on this tee shot. Just over a quarter of the field was finding the birdie on this hole. It's Clemons now, after kind of an errant tee shot, will have to settle for bogey. It's going to put him to 3 over. And the rest of the card looking to tap in their pars as we move over to hole 6. Now we're at hole 6, 315-foot par 3 Peninsula green. Does have a water carry here. Covers a good portion of that 315 distance. There is OB deep of the basket if you really juice one, but it really shouldn't come into play. It's more about just making sure you get the water carry, land near the basket, get your putt. It kind of has kind of a neat little tie to Emporia Country Club. Similar distance, not quite the same island hole, but you know, you can definitely kind of see a little bit of inspiration there on this design from McCabe, as that was actually kind of a helpful kick to the tree limb there, but oh, doesn't get forward enough. I thought that redirection was actually tracking him towards the basket, but it still falls short into the water. That looks great from Niklas. We'll actually take a look at this from Niklas. Again, really has a unique form that stands out the way he holds his disc the way he does on his approach. Kind of a longer X step, but just has full control over it. Very smooth thrower. Really fun to watch play. Again, he's one of those guys that has one of those forms that, you know, without the nameplate, it could just be a silhouette and you know who's throwing the disc. Wide hyzer there from Zach Melton. Doesn't have enough fight in it to get back to the peninsula. Just barely, it seems. Wow, that was very risky, but does land in bounds. Chris, as a fellow lefty, will be looking to do something similar, but hopefully not quite as scary. But yeah, as the lefty backhand does challenge that water a bit more. That should be fine, though. Looks good. Spikes in there nicely on the backside of the green. A little bit of a death putt, I guess you could say. So we're going to see Calvin Heimburg here go to the drop zone. Gets it up there for his bogey. Here's Zach from a distance. Hits and sticks. Should be able to collect the par from there. This is Clemons for birdie. Oh, what? Not sure from this angle if he was maybe a little off to the side, but certainly looked good from where I was sitting at. Niklas will land the mark, though. Getting a couple of birdies to make up for some early issues. Gets him back to even with a couple of holes left to play here on our front nine. It's a bogey for Calvin after the OB off the tee. Zach looking to get his par here. Clemons will just be dropping in for his three. Let's take another quick break here.
Gotta use your tongue.
If disc golf is your game, make Gotta Go, Gotta Throw your disc golf warehouse. With a huge selection of discs, bags, baskets, carts, shirts, and more. GottaGo.GottaThrow.com has all the tools to take your game to the next level. Shop online or our Golden Valley, Minnesota store. Free shipping with all online orders over $75. Online or in-store, get what you need for the game you love. GottaGo.GottaThrow.com, your disc golf warehouse. In the game since 1993.
All right, and we're at hole 7, a par 4, and this ditch we're flying over does play as out of bounds, but then the rest of the way, it's the road to the left that's the OB you have to worry about, as well as an OB on that right-hand side. Tree does nestle up next to one of these cedars. So Niklas will be first to act off the tee. Wind picking up a little bit here. Always something you have to watch out for here in Emporia. Great shot from Niklas there. Gets some good turn. Gets some great forward progress and stays away from that OB. That is skied by Zach Melton. Does stay in bounds, but definitely lost a little bit of forward progress. tell he was disappointed with that from his reaction. Better line there from Clemons. Get some good ways up there. So we'll now step over to Calvin Heimburg. And really just nice straight shot there from Calvin. Does sit down. Calvin's definitely one of those players that just generates so much power. I feel like most people know him due to his personality, his straight shots in the woods, but just the way that plant foot commits and how much power he generates, it's insane. He's definitely one of the furthest throwers on tour, no doubt about it. As we do have this big cedar that kind of guards the front side of this green that you have to get around one way or another, and Zach finds himself inside of it. Clemons trying to hyzer one around the left-hand side of that cedar. And we'll get it in there. Really well done from Clemons. Well played hole so far from Chris. Niklas is going to be playing over to the right-hand side of the cedar. Certainly the way the second shot plays for right-hand players is definitely like, you know, kind of forehand over the road, or you're going to have to play backhand towards the right side of the cedars, but you bring that fence line OB into play. That is really well handled. Gets a little bit more ground action he probably hoped for, and looks like he might be on the cedar on the other side of the green, but still seems pretty close. And here's that forehand option you're going to see here from Calvin Heimburg. Looks great. Oh! Almost made some magic happen there. Really well done from Calvin. Made you think for just a second. Kind of a deep one there from Zach. Puts him outside circle one for the par putt. Clemons here just outside circle one himself. And a little high. Tough one there for Zach. Here's Clemons for par. He'll find it. And Niklas is fine. Again, sometimes these low-hanging branches on these cedars can pose a challenge, but he didn't get really underneath it too much. It definitely has a clean look here for birdie. He finds it. That's 2 in a row, 3 of the last 4, and puts him to 1 under. So starting to get something going here on his front 9. An easy birdie tap in there for Calvin Heimburg, battling his way back up a little bit. So we'll head to hole 8, 724-foot par 4. OB along that road on the left-hand side. Also some OB rights you have to contend with. A couple of trees around the green to get around, but all in all, pretty straightforward. Just get as much progress as you can and stay in bounds. Niklas playing that left-hand side of the tree on a turnover. And that looks pretty nice. Do sometimes see the wider hyzers over the right-hand side of that first tree in the center of the fairway. Well, this line you're seeing our 2 competitors so far take is the one that can definitely get you the most progress.
Nice shot.
Give you the easier upshot. Really is also wind dependent, I would imagine. Solid there from Clemons. Zach last to act here. Turns that one over. Challenging that left side OB. Does it get back in? No. That's going to be a penalty for Zach now, throwing 3. And really going to have an obstructed putt as well to try to salvage par. This is going to come up short as well from Clemons. Maybe stables out a little bit earlier than he was hoping for. Let's see what Niklas has got here. Kind of battling some of these tree branches. Doesn't really give him a way to get out the way he wanted, so we'll leave himself short of the green as well. So it may just be down to Calvin Heimburg to try to find a birdie on this hole. It's around 32% of the field found the birdie on hole 8 on this day. And that looks great out of Calvin. Right in the bullseye. Zach trying to get up and down. Skips it in there nicely. Nicholas giving it kind of a little floaty run there. Certainly a safer bid. He'll be just fine to collect his par, you'd imagine. Clemons, though, this is tricky. Trying to see if he can find some kind of magic, but realizes he's going to have to throw it low and settle for par. Here's Calvin for birdie, though. Great work so far on this hole. Let's see if he can finish it off. Yeah, routine putt there for Heimburg. That's 2 in a row. Gets him back to even. Nicholas will find his par. Clemons should do the same, and Melton will unfortunately card a bogey. Here's our final hole of the front 9, a 423-foot par 3. Lots of cedars around the putting green. Well, you need to make sure you stay straight and centered. Off to the sides could definitely cause for some obstructed putts. Left side, definitely the more open side, so Calvin taking the forehand, but just flips that one up a bit too much. And he will be taking a ticket straight to Cedartown. Nicholas looking to play perhaps the backhand turnover on the left-hand side. Or is he thinking roller? It looks like he is. Absolutely, that's what he's looking for. Just cuts in a little bit short of the circle. Yeah, this definitely plays nicely for more of a power forehand player that's right-handed or the lefty backhand. So Clemons is trying to get one in there.
Calvin. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely going to have some obstruction as well for some of those cedar branches.
Go forward, go. Get big.
It's just not getting forward fast enough. They get caught up on the other side. We'll see what Niklas has here. Looking for some type of step anti-putt, it looks like. Yeah, it's certainly what he's looking for. Outside circle 2 by a good margin, though. Tries to give it like a small chance, but certainly just pitching up for the par, and that's all fine. Tricky little turnover stall shot there from Clemons. Man, these trees definitely give you a rough one if you get caught at them, as we see. I believe that's Calvin. Trying to get through, but gets caught on his way out. Zach just left to pitch up forehand, and looks like we're going to see a bit of a star par here. This is played slightly over par, just barely, 0.01 strokes over. 16% of the field finding the birdie. Yeah, I can't either. Kind of speechless after seeing that. Wow, that's tough. We'll see Calvin actually wind up carding the bogey. So the rest of the card will clean up the pars. We'll be signing off this front 9 here at the new Supreme 18 at Jones Park. Take a look at how things ended here. Niklas Anttila 1 under, tied for 4th after the front 9 is over. Calvin tied for 17th. Zach and Chris a little bit behind, more in kind of that top 30 position. So you can kind of see how players are doing so far here. Logan Harpole and Elijah Bickle doing well. Thomas Gilbert just in behind. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Special shout out to the Patreon supporters for helping this all happen. Again, I'm Dustin Mouret. Pleasure doing the commentary for you. Give me a follow at Follow Dustin on Instagram or Dustin Disc on YouTube. And I'll catch you on the back 9, so be sure to tune in.